like to welcome everyone today to the UNI press conference. So thank you for coming out. First up today is UNI cross country coach Dave Paulson. Panther women had their highest finish ever at the regional over the weekend, finished 10th. Down in Ames, 7th, not 10th, 7th. It was the 7th. I was just tricking, seeing if anybody was listening. Next up, Dave Paulson. Thank you.
Yeah, so it was a good way to finish the season down in Ames this weekend. And so the women, again, they put together a phenomenal race. I think our top 6 runners were only separated by 15 seconds from our first runner, Brett Corey, to our 6th runner, who was Tiffany Christensen, and everyone was in there 21:13 and 21:28. And so that was really the strength of the program. This weekend was just that tight spread. We had one of the tightest spreads in the entire competition from any program, and so that put us in good position to finish program best 7th, and that's the best finish in our school's history. And so we beat 7 teams from Power 5 schools from the Big 10 and the Big 12. So our kids are really excited about that because a lot of times you get looked at as kind of just being a part of it and not being a player. And so for us to finish in front of those types of programs is a testament to these girls and what they've done over the last 4 years in their career, and as well as the newcomers coming in. And so it was a terrific weekend. We are just thrilled to where we're at as a program from where we were a couple years ago. This group of seniors that we had, from where they came in and where they're finishing their career, conference champions, being a top 7 team at the regional meet. From 2 years ago, we finished 7th at the Valley meet, and so in 2 years we've gone completely the other direction. And so we're just looking forward to the future of what we got going with this program. We have recruiting has picked up significantly, and we're looking at just continuing to build on what we've done over the last couple of years, and are thrilled where we're at, but aren't satisfied. And so we'll reload and get ready for next season. We have to switch focus pretty quickly as we head into track season, which is actually only a few weeks away. Our first track meet is December 8th at Iowa State University. We'll take a small group down there and just kind of get a lot of those kids have been training all fall, give them an opportunity to get on the track and see what they can do. Keep in the back of their mind that the track season is just around the corner. When they head home for Christmas and come back, we're full-fledged into a competitive season. So that's where we're at right now. Any questions regarding cross-country track?
How did your gal names and order kind of how they finished?
Yeah, Brett Corey was our top finisher this weekend, and then our second runner was Ashley Norum. Third runner was Hannah Truniger. Fourth runner was Michaela Cole, and our fifth runner was Gabby Champion. And so that was the first time Gabby had factored into our top 5. Which was nice to see. She's a freshman from Illinois, and so her season really came on strong at the end. She was our 6th runner at the conference meet. Had a good meet there, and then just kind of built off that to the regional meet. And so looking forward to what she's going to do. She'll factor into the top 5 next year on a more consistent basis, which is exciting. And then, the time frame, as far as the time stack up, we had 6 girls in the top 11 all-time in school history at that race. And so this was undoubtedly probably the best cross-country team we've had in school history, and so that's exciting and it's fun to build on. And we came up just a little short at the conference meet, but I don't want to take anything away from what these girls accomplished, this year. And so top to bottom, by far the best team we've had in school history. And so that's just I'm really proud of those girls and what they did.
All of them been accurate until you lose.
We'll lose 2 out of our top 5 for sure. Brett Corey and Ashley Norum are graduating this year, and so looking to not necessarily replace them because they were pretty good for us, but find some girls that can step in and factor into those positions. Anything else? Go Panthers.
Thank you, Dave. Next up, UNI volleyball and head coach Bobby Peterson. Panthers locked up the number 2 seed for the MVC tournament with a win on Sunday over Southern Illinois. Panthers have one match this week, Saturday, 5 p.m. down in Des Moines at the Knapp Center against the Drake Bulldogs. Next up, head coach Bobby Peterson.
Hey, just a little bit about this weekend, this past weekend. Obviously, a tough road trip for us, going to number 1 Missouri State. And then having Southern Illinois. And both of those teams had their senior weekend. Both of them had very, I would say, impact players for seniors. Missouri State had 4 and Southern Illinois had 6, all of which are impact players for their teams. And obviously a disappointing finish on Friday or Saturday night based on the result. But I would say in the last month that the entire weekend was probably the best volleyball we've played. So there were some positives there. I think the biggest thing is we just could not finish. We had our opportunities for sure in the first 2 sets to finish the set, and we were unable to do that. I think defensively we did some really good things, some better things that we've done over the past month, but then had just a few missed executions at inopportune times. And then I think the biggest difference in that match to me was we did not win the serve and pass game, and then we had 26 attack errors to Missouri State's 11, and that's just a stat that it's going to be really tough to overcome. And that's kind of been our thing over the last month. It's something that we have communicated a lot about needing to be better. There's so much that goes into that, but ultimately it's that last contact that we have to make better decisions on. And so going into Southern, as coaches, we were a little bit nervous just because it was obviously a letdown when you want to give the number 1 team in the conference a better run than we did. And then you have Southern Illinois, who, again, 6 seniors playing their last match. Southern has been playing well, and it's also a place that we have not won in the last 4 years. So a little bit nervous as coaches, but I was really, really proud of our kids and just their execution, their attitude, their energy level. Really were resilient and bounced back and had a really good match on Sunday. When you look at the attack errors, we definitely challenged them with that, and that is an area that as coaches you're a little bit shy because sometimes when you think about that too much, it to me produces more errors. But our kids really stepped up. We had 1 error in set 1, we had 2 in set 2, and then dropped a little bit, having 7 in the last set. But what a huge improvement from the night before. So really proud of that and excited about those changes. We have Drake this week, obviously a big match for us. Last conference match of the season. We're glad to have that number 2 seed solidified because that's huge going in the conference tournament. But Drake is a team that has been playing really well all year. They're a team that when they were here, I know they're very disappointed in their performance. So we not only have a good Drake team, but I think a very motivated Drake team to play better than when they came to our place. 2 of the best outsides in the conference that are kids that you work to slow down. You're not going to stop. And then they just are very gritty defensive team. They have a great serving game, especially at home. So a lot to prepare for. But we're like this week because we have opportunities to get some rest. We have opportunities to work on our side of the net, but also do a lot of preparation for Drake as well. Any questions?
Getting that top 2 spot is important in any year, but especially as crazy as the conference is this year, how important is it to have that bye locked up and you have just 1 less match to do the win?
Yeah, I think, a couple things. I used to think it was a negative just to have a bye because you're sitting around and you're not, getting the feel and getting to play and you're playing somebody that's already played. But I think just anymore with the wear and tear in the bodies and being able to have a little bit more rest is sometimes better than having those opportunities to get the reps. So I think this year, especially with our team and, the chronic things that we have had all year long, the injuries we had earlier that has made us a team that doesn't have a lot of depth really in a lot of positions. I think it's definitely a year that we're very excited about having that first round bye.
How impressed were you with what Carly was able to do yesterday against Southern Illinois?
Yeah, Carly was, no errors, and that's a kid that, you wouldn't expect that from. She's very aggressive, so we expect her to make errors, I guess. But what I loved about Carly in that match is she really mixed in a lot of off speed. She had a lot of off speed open, and she kept doing it. It's one of those things where, keep doing it if it's working. They never really adjusted to it because she's never done it before like she did. So she just kept hitting that short shot right over the block and was really successful. And it was cool because you could see the excitement in her eyes that, yes, I'm finally getting some off speed to work. So it was, I think, a really big growth moment for her as an attacker and being able to have some different options and different things in her arsenal for sure. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Next up, we'll talk some women's basketball. Panther women's basketball will be in action Tuesday night at home against Iowa State, interstate rival, 7 p.m. in the McLeod Center. Next up is head coach Tanya Warren.
We played like a young, inexperienced team on the offensive end. Really battled on the defensive end in rebounding. And you got to give IUPUI credit. I thought their pressure literally took us out of our game. It really forced us to play on our heels. And with that being said, we still had chances throughout the course of the game to get ahead, but we had a lot of empty possessions, a lot of costly turnovers. But we found a way to battle, and I am a firm believer anytime you hold an opponent to 54 points in your arena, you should win. But you got to give IUPUI credit for their pressure and being able to pressure us into 20 turnovers. But hopefully we'll continue to learn. We had a good film session yesterday, came back, had a good practice today, and that's what you're going to see with this team throughout the course of the year. There's going to be growth moments like we're going through right now, and the most important thing is we got to come back tomorrow and execute some things a lot better, especially on the offensive end. Iowa State is very good. They're big. They shoot the three extremely well. Bridget Carlton was Big 12 Player of the Week. I think she had 19 points in the fourth quarter against South Dakota. As a team, they went 11 for 19 from the three. I don't think there's any question what they want to do. That's who they are. So we're going to have to make sure that we are scouting report ready defensively, understand where we can help, who we can help off of. We're going to have to be gritty on the defensive end, chase them off the three-point line, rebound, and then offensively we're going to have to execute. They're going to force us, some kids, to shoot the basketball that aren't or probably don't normally shoot it for us as of last year, or some younger kids. He's going to force them, put them in those situations, and we have to be ready. More than anything else, we have to be shot ready when the opportunity presents itself, and we have to take care of the basketball. It's been a long time since one of our teams has had 20 turnovers, but it's also been a long time since we've been this young. That'll come as we continue to get reps, and that's what I'm looking for in tomorrow's game. How much better can we be on the offensive end and still continue to defend the correct way tomorrow night? Are there any questions?
Even for how things are going on the offensive end Friday, what do you think about how they were still approaching things defensively and hopefully not letting the offensive work happen?
Well, that was very encouraging. We talk a lot about not allowing the offense to affect our defense, and I thought we battled. We battled defensively. To hold Lawrence to 10 points is a tribute to our team, both Michaela and Ellie, and how we team defended. And then to out-rebound that team says a lot about the grit of our kids. Again, to not allow what we did offensively to affect what we did defensively was very encouraging. And again, it's one game. The most important thing is can we be better tomorrow? That's what I'm looking for. How much better can we be? This team's going to be just fine.
Megan had 16 of those rebounds. How would you analyze her performance?
She was tremendous, just tremendous. Offensively, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, and she's going against kids that are a little bit bigger than her. But I thought she did a good job considering she was in foul trouble the first half, and not to pick up a fourth foul the last two quarters says a lot about her. But we're going to need not only Megan, but some other kids to step up and continue to rebound as well, and see if we can't get ourselves in a flow offensively. Like I said, if you look at that game, we had chances. We stole it and had a chance to go up one with a little 3-something to go, and we missed the layup. We had opportunities. It's just a matter of getting those things corrected and settling in on the offensive end.
Was it a bit of a surprise to the coaching staff that after scoring 80 in that exhibition game, we did just score 48? And was it shot selection, or was the shots just from fall?
I will be very honest. I was a little bit more concerned defensively coming into this game because of all the screens that they run. They run a lot of brush screens, fade screens, just a lot of screens. So I was more worried defensively than I was offensively, so I was stunned. But you got to give them credit. We will have not seen pressure like that. I don't know that we will, but they get out and pressure at 94 feet. That's what they did, and they really caused us to play on our heels. And it wasn't shot selection as much as it was not taking care of the basketball. 20 turnovers, that's a lot of empty possessions, and you lose by 6. So we just have to do a better job of understanding time and score and limiting the empty possessions. We have to be able to get shots up. They shot 10 more shots than we did.
Do you feel like with this being a young team that there may be times you have to win 55, 53, even a low scoring game?
I'll take a 48-47. No question. There's going to be a lot of ugly games with this young team, and we're going to have to win some games on the defensive end. But what we have to learn is eventually we've got to take some of the pressure off our defense, whether that's getting to the free throw line or making an easy end one or a layup. Those type of possessions we have to be able to score on, because eventually it wears on your defense. Your defense can only be good for so long. Any other questions? Thank you.
Next up, head coach Mark Farley.
All right. Now, Indiana State this week. They're very aggressive on defense with some things that they do. And then on offense, you know, they're throwing the football around. They have a couple really fast receivers, and they've actually done a good job. I mean, they've struggled in areas, as we all know, by the record. But when you look at some of the games they've played, and when you're watching the scores into the third quarter, you know, they're right there with a lot of these people. So I think they're a good football team that's in a very good conference. And so it's hard to measure what you're up against because of the people that they've been playing are top quality teams. So, questions?
What does it say about your offensive line if they're able to hold up amid all the injuries and Marcus Taylor having a really good game?
No, I was pleased. Marcus, our offensive line, you know, we started Ellis, went out there and started for us, and then Putney came in and played a lot for us. And when you look at it from the beginning of the season to what it is today, I think there's only two guys that were the original starters on that first football game that are still playing. So I'm pleased with it. We can mix and match and get guys in there and still be productive. And they're playing well enough that they're working together is what I'm trying to say, very well. And they've got the combination, their communications, and that's a key offensive line play, is that rhythm that you play with. And that's what's pleasing when you start to mix and match parts, that they still have that continuity when they get to a game day. So very pleased with that. And you know, you got to add the tight ends into that as well. You know, Bradley Moore's really been playing good the last couple of weeks. And without Elias last weekend, you know, Bradley had to take all the load. So all those things add up, but at the same time, you put more load on one person, you also put more hits on one person. So there's wear and tear for the next week. So what we come out with this week may be totally different because, you know, there's wear and tear on those guys that played as well. So we'll see who we have this week to move forward with.
Do you expect to get any of those other linemen back 20 or 20?
I hope to. I hope to get them. You know, I think we'll get Twait back. Right now is what it looks like. Saw the trainer early this morning. The other ones still are questionable, but they've moved from out to questionable this week. So, but I think Twait, yeah, he will go with practice today. So he's probably really the only one that has moved out of that category. But the rest of them have moved into questionable, that's a plus. So we'll see if we can't get them back by Tuesday or Wednesday or no later than Thursday.
And then what's the latest on Eli Dunn? His injury wasn't a concussion, was it?
He actually had it's more of a sternum chest type thing. More of the hit is what caused the problem. So, but again, he's questionable as of today, which is good as of today.
And I believe if you can't go, I believe you would have full confidence on Colton Howell the way he played.
Yeah, the story really was Colton coming in, first quarter, some rookie offensive linemen, and playing on the road. And he went in there, and I thought our execution was good. I mean, we penalty wise, we stayed out of the penalty category for the most part with jumping off sides and misalignments and things like that. So the communication was good. And then I thought his execution was good. I thought he threw some good passes to move the chains for us. And once he got comfortable, you know, that's when you really saw him in the fourth quarter. You know, really operated, really did a great job with the clock and the things that we're asking him to do. Really did it in a nice way and did it in a very calm demeanor. Yes, yeah, yes. Both. He's had 2 years now that he actually came here. He's at a junior college for 1 year. We brought him in here with the thought that we needed a backup quarterback and somebody to start grooming very quickly. And told him at that time, should everything go normal, that's the plan. But last year we had the injury to Eli, and then this year Eli went down in a critical part of the season, and he stepped up both times and did his job. And that's part of the redshirt thing. You wish you could redshirt everybody, but there's guys, Therese Fountain, Jared Farley. I wish I had a redshirt them right now too. Okay, they could actually have another year. But when you're playing in that season, particularly at our division, depth is a real concern, and quality of depth is even more so a concern when you're trying to be a contender every year. So as years progress, your depth is leaner, and thus you're playing freshmen and you're playing guys that you wish you could redshirt. That's probably been the biggest difference in the 15, 17 years I've been here, is the number of redshirts of what it was when I first came here to what it is today. And it's more so because of budgets, scholarships, and the level of play that we've risen to.
It's gonna be a weird week, because one, it's senior week, so for a lot of seniors, this could be their last home game. Plus, you have the playoffs in here, so your practice schedule's probably all wonky. How do you deal with that and handle that this week?
Well, we'll have to adjust. It's great having the high school playoffs here. I mean, it's probably one of the greatest things for our university is to bring every high school town in here in a championship mode and bring them to campus, and then they get to experience the dome and everything that we get to experience every day. So for that to have in every high school is something that is special. So we do have to make adjustments when you have all the things that are going on, particularly on Thursday and Friday, that you're going to have to move your meetings around, move your practice schedules around. It's just something that you have to adapt to. It's like if a plane doesn't show up on time, you got to be able to adapt. If the dome is full, we're going to have to adapt. So this way we got a plan for it that we had time to get ready for. So we'll be fine that way to make those adjustments. But it is, you can't keep the regular routine when you start getting the high school playoffs in here.
Coach, your defense created another couple turnovers on Saturday. How good are you feeling about that unit right now?
They're playing good. They're playing hard. When I say good, my standards are they're playing hard, and are they? I'm watching them work together, coverage and pass rushes and things like that. And are we getting better? And I believe is what I see is that we are. We're playing hard. We're playing well together, and I still think we're improving. Every week I see a little bit of the things that maybe you can't see visually, the adjustments that they make on the run that maybe weren't coached that week or hadn't been addressed in a while, that they can make those adjustments now for you when they see something new that we hadn't prepared them for. So they're doing those things. They're catching vision of what's going on around them more quickly, and I think that's why we're making plays. But there's no question our pass rush has been good. Our coverage is 100% better. And, we're right now we're still a good tackling football team. I'm always cautious because you're one day away from being a bad tackling team, but we're tackling good right now. And open field tackles are tough to make. So we're doing that. It seems we're doing that, and that relates into the special teams as well. It's our special teams, I think, has improved as well. But we're still making some errors, but as of today, we've made improvement, and that's the purpose, is get out there and try to improve again today.
We talked about all, but you're still banged up on the offensive line. What's the status of Keelan and AJ?
Both questionable. Okay, yeah, the questionable list is a 2-page deal right now, but it's and that's actually good news for us. Okay, I tell you if they're out, and they're not out as of today. They're not in, but they're not out either. So that's the upside of the whole thing. So, today is a introductory practice. Once we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, those are work days. So to play, they'll have to be involved in those practice days.
Because you're confident in what your defense is doing, you're confident in Colton, is there a chance that you could rest Eli this weekend?
There's no rest for anything right here. That word is not my vocabulary. So we better get this thing lined up. That's probably why I was late for this meeting, is we cannot afford to even take a hesitant step if we're going to improve. Otherwise, we're not doing this for the right reason. So we will take the same approach, if not a tougher approach, to get ready for this weekend's football game. Because of all the things you just said, we're going to have to fight the schedule in the dome. We're going to have to fight some other things that aren't normal to us, and you don't know what impacts players. So we will address every one of them, and we'll probably prepare maybe so even a little bit stronger this week than we did the previous weeks, because we're going down the stretch, and if you're going to improve, that's the approach you have to take. These guys ain't coming in here just to play the game, okay? So I watched them, Illinois State. I mean, that was 24-15, 24-17, and they're driving the field at the end of the game. Last I looked, Illinois State's pretty good. They did the same thing against Liberty. They're driving the field. I watched them ahead of a couple of these teams in the third quarter, and then it gets away from them for whatever reason. But this is a strong enough football team that we have to improve this week if we want to continue to be the team that we want to become.
If something would have happened to Colton Howell in that game Saturday, who would be next at that quarterback spot? Do you pull a red shirt off that freshman, or you just run wildcat the rest of the game? Who would be next in line?
Never thought about that. Got that deep, but Jalen Ryman maybe? I don't know. In all seriousness, Christian, I think Christian Ellsworth, and you got Reggie Schulte. Reggie Schulte can go out and run anything we're running right now as well as anybody, okay? And Reggie's the story, all right? Reggie's a senior. Nobody wants to write about Reggie, but I'm telling you, Reggie's the story, because he's been here, he's on that sideline, he knows our offense inside and out. He can walk out there and take a snap without practicing and run as well as any quarterback that I have. And, you know, that's the type of person he is. That's how he prepares. And, you know, knowing where he's at, I don't know if everybody would do that if they were sitting in his shoes. And so I think that's probably call it a crutch, call it a staple, call it whatever, but that's a very assuring feeling knowing you got Reggie on the sideline for any of those instances where you're not sure what the next step is. Reggie Schulte is the next step.
You had mentioned earlier not redshirting guys because you want to be in playoff mode every year and have a shot at it.
Mm-hmm.
But with one game to go this year, does it feel like you've been in playoff mode for a few weeks now?
I really don't know what that mode is in comparison to a regular season game. I just know that in comparison, to answer your question, it's been very intense getting ready for these football games because of the situation that we were in and that we are still in. So, you know, that same demeanor is approached for this football game, because that still hasn't changed. It doesn't matter who you play. You're still in a situation that you need to play well this weekend to get another weekend. So that's what we're trying to do, and that's the approach we'll take.
I know you're not on the playoff committee, but if you win this Saturday, you're at least second in the league, 6-2, 7-4. What do you see with playoff situation? A bye, you're playing, hosting, traveling? Just what do you think?
I haven't studied who's the good teams in the other leagues. I haven't seen the records of everybody. We've been too involved of getting this team ready for whoever we're playing, and everybody's saying we got a really good league. So, and then I just looked up last weekend was the first time I looked up, and so I wanted to see what Southern Utah was doing. That's the last time I looked up Southern Utah was when we played them the week before. Little did I know they lead the Big Sky right now, and that was something. So then I quick looked at what Cal Poly's doing. And really, when we thought them, I thought Cal Poly was pretty good, and they're struggling. And Southern Utah is lighting it up right now. So, I mean, it's tough to decide. Then you got Northern Arizona. You kind of look at Northern Arizona compared to Western Illinois, but then Northern Arizona compared to Illinois State. So I think it's very difficult for me anyway, because I haven't studied it as much as what I normally would do, and which is probably good, because all I want to do is study our football team and study Indiana State. I think that's what we need to lock into right now.
Talk about the seniors. I think there's 15 of them. There might be one off.
Yeah, and you know what? I should have prepared for that. I'm sorry I didn't. I did. I was writing a meeting. I was studying Indiana State, but our seniors, I tell you what they did. It takes great leadership to go through what we went through. It takes great leadership, and I think that speaks for itself. Of a Doris Fountain, Jared Farley, Adam Reth, Preston Woods. I mean, just they kind of Sam Cooter. He's in that mix. He's as much a part of this as anybody is. And for all the seniors, for that matter, Bryce Sweeney comes back from back surgery. He probably shouldn't be playing. Okay, this injury isn't near compared to the other injury he had last year. He's out there playing for us. So Elijah Campbell, the transfers, he and Keelan, what they did when we moved him into the safety position this season. I mean, they changed the middle of the season. So you see a lot of unselfishness, you see a lot of determination, and you see a lot of good football players. And then how the team has kind of did a 180 for us. You need an internal force to do that, and that's where you credit your seniors.
Speaking of Cooter, I've seen he was a former high school quarterback. I've seen him throw pretty good. Is there a big parking guys in Arsenal?
He thinks there is. Honestly, I've had Sam Cooter. You ask who's the next quarterback? I've had Sam in quarterback meetings. I put Sam in quarterback meetings because he can do some things. And if I ever got in a situation on the road when you can dress 60 guys, you try to save a spot for another DB or another offensive lineman or whatever you feel you need. So you try to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And one of the situations we were preparing for this whole football season was Sam sits in the quarterback meetings and prepares that way, whether it ever goes on or takes a snap, and it can happen any day. But yeah, he's taking he knows our offense. Let's put it that way. So there's your insight for the day. Anybody else? All right, thanks.
I guess we'll start with what we have coming up this weekend. Just first home meet on Sunday against North Dakota State. Obviously makes a huge difference to have a crowd. This is a team that you're definitely going to want to get out and watch. Something we have going on beforehand, Panther Train kind of Pins Cancer Clinic. We've done that for a few years, and we're doing it for a little girl named Evie who unfortunately just passed away. We're still going to raise whatever we can for them, and the family can use it however they need it. But yeah, 4 years old, just turned 4, and then passed away this weekend. So our thoughts and sympathies obviously go to her and her family. I think we're all impacted by this disease. A couple people that I want to talk about, and one is Bill Bales. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. He's really the one that got this thing started. He started at Cornell. He's been battling for longer than he'd probably like to tell you right now. But I got to know him through Matt Fields. Matt Fields wrestled at Iowa for me. He was an administrator there, was a track coach, and got to know him a little bit and saw that he was battling cancer, and he was putting all these Facebook posts up about how horrible he felt, but he was going to still go out and run. And this was about 5 years ago. And I kept seeing him. I'm like, man, we got to have this guy come in and talk to our team. And he came in and talked to our team, and he's been a friend of the program ever since. And he's been an inspiration to us and in our program. And we wouldn't have what we have going on right now with this clinic without him. So I want to make sure that we thank him. And man, he's still always willing to help. He wants to, hey, what can I do for this? What can I do for this? How can I help? I'll be up there. So he'll be up there. So if you see him, make sure you thank him. You thank him for thinking about other people that are battling right now and not just thinking about himself, but trying to give to others. And that's a great reminder for me. I don't know, he doesn't really know this, but he wrote a check to our club a couple years ago, but I never cashed it. One is because he doesn't need to give us anything. He's inspiration enough, but I keep it on my computer for a couple reasons. One is just I'm always going to give more than I take because I think that's what he does. That's an example of what he does, and just want to make sure that we thank him, and I thank him for the inspiration that he gives to me and how he keeps fighting and battling. So Bill Bales. And then my mom just recently was diagnosed lung cancer and bone cancer. But I'll tell you that there's been a lot of people that have reached out. There's been a lot of people that have, whatever, it's a Facebook post, it's a call, it's a text, it's anything, it makes a difference. So I know we're in this world right now, and everyone's kind of, this world's a bad place, and there's no good out there, man. I tell you what, all I see is good. All I see is good. I see how people are trying to help one another, trying to make those around them better. And I want to thank anybody that's reached out to her, because it's made a difference. Her spirit's strong. Her spirit is so strong. And it's because of everyone that reaches out. So she's fighting and she's battling right now. I know she's going to try to be around. She doesn't like to miss things, and she's tough. She's really, really tough. But she gives me inspiration every day. And if you see her, this prayers make a difference. So if you believe in that, please send them to her and Bill and anybody else that's fighting out there. And I kind of getting off on a tangent, but you start thinking about things that are way more bigger than wrestling. I think that's an important thing. It's an important thing for our team. An identity of what we're trying to do as a program is that there's always something bigger out there. There's something bigger than us. There's even something bigger than that individual out on the mat. We're representing something, being for the university, being from UNI, that there's always something bigger there. And I think it helps keep our perspective. It keeps it in the right place. And then we can go out and wrestle inspired, for those people. So, kind of not try to be a downer at all, because it's not a downer, because, it's a great thing how people reach out and try to help one another, and that's what we're trying to do this weekend. So if anybody doesn't have plans on Sunday, we've had some people that have stepped up and have just given money. So if anybody doesn't have the funds to be able to come to the event, we've had quite a few people sponsor. So reach out to Brett Robbins or myself, and if we have some of those spots available, we'll give them to you. But we want people out there that just want to give back and want to do something and be part of something bigger. So that'll start at, I think, 11 on Sunday, and then our meet starts at 2. So anybody that can come out, we'd love to have you. As far as this weekend, man, I kind of go right to Cornell. That's kind of what Coach does. I'm sure Farley was just talking about it too. You kind of go to that next thing. There was a lot of good things that I saw this weekend. Good to have some guys back that didn't get to compete the week before. I thought Albert looked great. Very explosive, strong. Some people are like, well, is he going to be big enough for 33 or 40, moving up from 33? Yes, he is. He's big enough, strong enough, he's explosive enough. He looks really good, and he feels real good. Was good, excited to get him back out there. Peyton Moore, it was good to get him back out on the mat. Was tweaked a little bit, and just something where you don't need to rush things early in the season. But, man, I thought that he competed very well, kept very good composure. And that's kind of something that sometimes we saw last year a little bit. He panicked. You get in a situation, maybe get behind, and then you start to panic, and he didn't do that one bit. Guy came out in his second match and took him down twice right away, but, man, kept his composure, stayed focused, and that's growth right there. That's what you want to see. Was able to get Logan Ryan back on the mat. Love the pace that he wrestles. Was excited to see him compete. Trying to think, when we got to see Max and Drew, they were out at the All-Star Duel last week, but having those guys back out with the team is always an important thing. Let's see. I guess I'll go through my guys real quick, but, I'm just looking at Shorm's hair right now, and I'm kind of laughing at it, but that's kind of who he is, though. That's his swag, that's kind of, and that's important to us. And I listened to an interview that he talked a little bit after, and I was asking, what are you thinking about out there? And he's like, I'm just being myself. And I tell you what, I love that. I love guys being able to be themselves, and that's what makes them who they are. That's what makes them good wrestlers. Not trying to be something else, not trying to wrestle a certain way that someone else wants them to wrestle, but wrestling the way that they can wrestle. Man, he pinned 4 guys in short time. Has a lot of confidence right now. Excited to see him continue to gain and build on this momentum that he's had at the start of the season. I wouldn't want to have to compete against him right now. He just kind of how he's walking out there. And he thinks he's going to beat everybody, and he thinks he's going to pin everybody, and let's just keep doing it. He said Albert wrestled well. Max wrestled really well in the finals. I think sometimes things as things go, as tournaments go, you kind of work into them a little bit, or, man, I'm at you know, the last one of the last events I was at was All-Star Duel. The last event before that I was at the Nationals. Sometimes you can struggle to get up. He competes his tail off every time, but man, I saw some pop and explosion with him and Foster in that last match, and that's what you want to see. You want to see guys raise their level as it goes, but saw some things that maybe I hadn't seen earlier in the tournament, and that's always a good sign. Those guys just need the lights to shine, and they'll continue to raise their level. Peyton wrestled well. Taylor wrestled really well those last couple matches. I think last week against Coleman it might have been maybe a 6-7 point match, and then he teched him handily, and that's those are the things that he can do. Just got to penetrate a little bit more, but man, just scoring points and letting it go, trusting yourself, and that's what we're really trying to get all our guys do, and then I'll go back to, I'll finish with, Carter Isley trusting himself. He got behind, he's behind late in the match, and he went and attacked, and that is a very, very good sign for us. He ended up getting scored on a shot early, and sometimes then he wouldn't go back to it. Like last year, maybe he wouldn't go back to it. So, the growth that I've seen out of like Peyton Moore, same thing I'm seeing out of Carter Isley, and he's a big, strong man. I may tell you what, I would not want to get in that guy's way, and especially as he continues to build his confidence, and keeps building his momentum. He's going to be really, really tough to beat. Schoenfelter won his second tournament in a row. And actually, a guy that beat him last week, he pinned him. So again, just growth. Guys making adjustments, getting better, really getting some of that match anxiety out of them. And I think every time we get out there, we should continue to get better and improve as a team. So we go to Cornell on Friday. They have a good team. I know they're young, and I know that Coach Cole kind of downplays what they have, but I know they're very talented. They're very well coached, and so. I'm excited to get our team out there just as a group and kind of build off each other. You have Shorm. You kind of have that lineup feel. It's not the same when you do a tournament. They can really build momentum off each other. They're strong in some weights. I know 65 moved up to 74, and he was an All-American last year. So on paper, that's probably one of the marquee matches. Got a really, really good guy at 41. Was a couple-time cadet world champ. I know it's freestyle, but he's a good wrestler. And then sprinkled up and down the lineup, they have a lot of good wrestlers. So we have to be ready to compete at a high level. And then, then we come back Sunday. Good test for our team. The travel and all those things. And some of those things you just got to be able to let go. Like, it doesn't matter. Because I know someone will ask, well, what about all that? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Like, we have to kind of be, and I said in my press conference, kind of the bulletproof mentality. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're going cross country and then coming back and then having to wrestle. You have to be able to focus, and you can let all those little things add up and bother you, or just big deal. Like, it doesn't matter. I expect things to go wrong. Maybe who knows? Maybe we'll get stuck in Chicago and have to drive home, and it doesn't matter. Like, none of those things matter. Like, the things that we can control is being able to keep our focus. Being able to keep firmly fixed on what's in front of us and not let anything else get to us. And if we can do that, then we're going to have an incredible team. And some guys have been able to do it. Some guys have to get better at that. But that's what we're going to do throughout the season, help these guys grow and continue to improve them and move forward and get a lot of momentum going as a team. So that starts on Friday against Cornell. And I know they have, like New York State's, they have a big thing going on. So I think it'll be a good crowd, obviously get to wrestle Cole. His dad has a lot of history here, wrestled here, was multi-time national champion here, OW, the national tournament, was a coach here. So we're excited to go out there, and then, really excited to get them to come back next year, and then being able to honor, him and his family, and make sure the Coles know how much we appreciate everything that they've done for the UNI wrestling program. But beyond that, I guess, any questions?
What's your status on Jeff Leitner's status?
See, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to say or whatever. I mean, he's on concussion protocol, so.
Where will you be at 33 then this week?
Hopefully he clears concussion protocol.
Who will go there?
Hopefully he clears concussion protocol. No, I would, Darren Eads, we'll have someone step up. You know, it doesn't matter whoever it is. You got to have someone step in. I mean, that's the thing with a team. With a team, it doesn't matter if someone's down, something happens. You have to be willing to have somebody step up, and that's one thing I'll say about our team. We will have someone that will step in and they will fight. I mean, and whoever it is, they will do that. I know that for a fact. You know, hopefully he's ready. He feels fine, but just, you know, there's certain things you have to follow. So we'll follow him, and hopefully he'll be back.
There's a true freshman at that weight class who could pull a red shirt off him, or do you want to?
Not for a duel. No way. I mean, that's very short-sighted on my part. To have a guy, if you're going to do that, then he's wrestling the whole year, you know, and he's the guy. But no. I mean, you get 4 of those. Those years are precious. So we're certainly not going to pull one, just like I said, just for one duel, because our season and anything doesn't hinge on one duel anyway, you know. So no way.
Looking at your team, just looking at the records, there's a lot of guys with zeros on that loss column.
Yeah.
4-0, 5-0, 7-0, 8-0. I know it's early, but how impressive is that for this time of the year? You got a bunch of guys undefeated.
Yeah. Well, it builds momentum. I mean, that's kind of the thing. It just, and you kind of you start walking out there expecting to win. Not this thinking a guy's going to hand it to you, but when you go out and you start beating some guys up, then you start expecting you're going to continue to beat guys up, and that's a good thing. It's just like momentum. It's momentum. You know, I think the football team has some right now. You know what I mean? You kind of get that roll going. You get the train moving. And when you're moving in that direction, you're starting to pick up speed. It gets tough for guys to jump on because they just got to get out of the way. So that's what I see. And now just continue to build. And, you know, you can say, well, maybe we haven't wrestled the best competition, but man, every time out there, it's you're building, you know. So it's great that, you know, a guy like Schwarm has finished like he has and done what he's done so far. You know, he beat a really good guy. He beat a top 12 guy in the country already. But I think anytime we can go out there and we compete and we can do the things that we talk about doing and actually putting it out there on display, you know, instead of in the room, then it's always a good thing. And I like where our guys are at.
North Dakota State part of the Big 12 too now?
Yep, they are. Yeah, I guess it'll be our first Big 12 meet. Yep. And they have some good guys. I mean, they do. You know, I mean, 65's been wrestling tough for them. And the thing about North Dakota State, I mean, they always hustle. I mean, their team hustles. They hustle back to the center. They fight through everything. I mean, they do a good job. Kish has always had his guys ready to wrestle and compete. So if our guys think that they're just going to fall over, that's not going to happen. You know, there's a little bit of rivalry there. I think we used to be in the Western Wrestling Conference together, but just the football thing too. You know, I mean, hopefully, you know, people want to come see us whoop up on NDSU. You know, I mean, because I know they want to see that in football, and we want to see it in, you know, across the sport. So, no, it'd be our first Big 12 duel, and I guess we get things kicked off in that way. I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but I guess come see the first Big 12 duel. All right, go Panthers.
Just a couple of housekeeping items here. Football selection show Sunday, 10 a.m. Central on ESPNU. Also available on the Watch ESPN app if you don't have ESPNU. 10 a.m. Central Time. Men's basketball will have a busy week this week at home. Monday, 7 p.m. against Alcorn State tonight. Wednesday at home, 7 p.m. against Wartburg. And then Saturday, 11 a.m. against Chicago State. Look forward to seeing everyone out to our events this week. Have a great week. Go Panthers.